Hey, welcome to the process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is ADP versus end of the season PPR points by positions. Wide receiver part 4. Obviously, you're way behind. You should be watching plenty more videos before you get to this one. This is a continuation, and let's just roll through here. So I wanted to kind of just peruse this data, position, the sector. So I'm cutting the rounds into halves. So this is first through sixth pick, the name of the wide receiver, the year 15 to 23, and the number of points that player got. So this is a view of historical aspects, failure rates, these kind of things. So right away in the first 6 picks, we've only had 2 failures. Thomas in 20 and Beckham in 17. The rest have been pretty stellar. There's been one might argue that Green in 16 and Cup in 22 were failures as well. I could see that. Last year we Chase, Diggs, and Hill were all about that goodness there. 3 of the 6 picks, the top 6 in the sector there, were all really good. Obviously, Hill was superior to Diggs and Chase here. But anyway, gets a feeling the historical, stats, the uncertainty levels. So you did have 2 failure weights. Back half of round 2, 1 failure. A few more semi-failures, right? Justin Jefferson last year is 1. But Lamb and Brown did fairly well. So we had some strong contenders last year, and you can see the year before and so forth. 17 and 16 had some sadness in the back half of round 1. So I like to do this just to look at it. But the very idea that, we're 100% sure of what we think we know, use this data to realize that there are exceptions and things are not ever 100%. And, that's the scariest thing, I guess. You can't go into your draft thinking that it's all going to work out and you're 100% right. In fact, you need to figure out why you could be wrong. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. If you're serious, again, if you're just playing for fun, then you're probably not even listening to me. This is for folks that try to make a little money here, try to crush their league mates. And it's going to cost you time, effort, thinking. And it's not necessarily even a one-season process here. But there's the first round. Second round, 13 to 18. Last year we had 2 good, 1 not so good. Cup again in 2023 was, one could say, a failure. He was 2022 a failure. But he was always highly thought of. And early part of the summer last year, Cup was, we're talking the top 6. So you need to go and review your ADPs and how they change over time here. Year before, we had Lamb versus Samuel. And Samuel was a failure. Lamb was goodness here. So just continuing here, we've had the back half of round 2. We had a few failures. And notice the level of greens is starting to decline here in the back end of round 2. Okay. So things are starting to run a little short. in your draft capital, and you can end up with some sadness here. And so I do this just for me to patrol through, just to see what it's all about, see what's going on. You know, as I peruse the different rounds and whatnot. So this is more not to memorize any of this, just to get a sense of success, failures in the different rounds. And historically, it's kind of like what can go wrong, right? More, you know, I'm a pessimist, so just kind of reminds me to continue to be pessimistic, right? These folks on Twitter proclaiming it's this season, that season. Just, come on, it's BS. And who has time to even engage in this stuff? Personally, I would follow people who are more rare than are always posting instant feedback. It's like, what? I understand there's these clicks and whatnot, but I'm just not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to be thoughtful and thinking more than anything. And that means thinking, not flapping one's chops on Twitter. And we continue as well. And so you go through here, and I like the total over the 9 years to get a feel. So start looking here. You start seeing 55 to 60. We got a few sadness, some more red here, some more red. Getting rare greens here by 73 to 78 here. That kind of bounces back a little bit. And so you can get a feel for when it really becomes hopeless here. Puka, certainly, look at him standing out. He was going lower than Tony here. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. But he's not been the only one. Look at Mike Williams in 21, Gallup in 19, Marvin Jones 17. So there's been some historical aspects where there's been some goodness. So how I take this is not worrying about the red, but seeing that there are some examples of super success deeper into the draft. Not a lot, not like most likely you're wrong, but there are a few examples that you can be right. Okay? And just kind of keep that in mind, that those are the ones you're shooting for, trying to dig those guys up to see what's what here. Nico Collins was goodness, really, even deeper than Puka, if you look about it here. So, of course, there's a lot of sadness, but even Tank Dell, relative, wasn't too bad last year. And so forth and so forth. So you go through, and I tried to look at the sectors. And so what does that mean? This is an overview of kind of what I showed you. Wide receivers in the top 40, mid 40, bottom 30, should be top 30%. I don't know why I did that, right? I don't know. That's my bad. Okay. So you start seeing percentages, right, in the last 9 years. So here's the actual numbers, the totals, and this is the percentages at each half. So first round, 79%, it's all good. Historically, 9 years. Second round, 70%, not bad. Low failure rate. So multiple ways to look at it. Let's look at the first serious failure rate occurs 55 to 60, 20%. Then all of a sudden, once you hit at that level, you start seeing 1/4 failures in a lot of these. Okay, there's some successes. but a lot of failures, and really starts getting bad 97 down. Okay, you can see super success starts fading after 49 to 54. Okay, historically, the show's up there, folks. So if I understand the puka and whatnot, but I'm saying looking at the aggregate data, okay, I understand you could pull a rabbit out of a hat every once in a while. If that's how you think your draft's going to go, is you're that damn good, unless your diary supports that, go with the aggregate data. Go with what is the aggregate is telling you. And this is how I interpret this data, that it's probably smooth sailing from round 2, 3, 4, and maybe 5, but hitting round 6, your expectation needs to be in the second tier. If you consider the top 30 and then the mid 40 is kind of where the show starts, in near the 5th round, right? Okay, near the 60th pick. Okay, and the sadness comes on near the 102nd, something like that. Starts getting really sad. So in some ways you can plot the draft, any draft. I hadn't even looked at the ADP for 2024 really seriously, but these data kind of are predictive of what should be there at the end of the season in 2024. So that's I guess people call it expectation. Okay. I don't think this data is serious enough to generate. To me, expectation is something you've got thousands of data points, and you know, the trouble in fantasy is we're talking 15, 20 data points. Come on. I mean, people claim it's expectation. No, it's guess. But we have to start. So we're limited by the lack of data points, folks. That is the trap that we are all in fantasy. Okay, and it's just the game we play. But the idea that people actually claim there's an expectation, expected this. Folks, come on. Even these high dollar websites, expectation, come on. 20, 30 data points, you're really going to hang that and claim that you've got a strong expectation? You hope it is, but let's get real. And if they don't acknowledge that, that's, you know, if I paid 100 or 50 or whatever you're paying a year, some of these high dollar data, that's what I'd ask them. When they use expected metrics, ask them, how many data points are you basing this expectation on? And if they answer truthfully, they'll say, yeah, you caught us. There's not a lot of data points here. Come on. So, this is me stepping out. So just realize that everybody, we're all hamstringed. And for clicks and money, if I say expectation, okay, it feels good to you, doesn't it? Well, they're expecting that. So I guess, it's good that I paid $50 for this because they're telling me. It's almost like this has got to be true. It's like your wishes and hopes and dreams versus reality. Look, we all fall into that category. So sometimes a lot of this data becomes almost the psychological side that, do you forget really the data points here? Okay. You won't see this on Twitter. You know why? because it's not to anybody's advantage to sharpen you up a little bit, right? To realize it's thin ice. Care who these people are. Could be the OGs, even them. Come on. You know, at the end of the day, if you pin them down, they've got to acknowledge there's just not a lot of data points versus you roll the dice, okay? Thousands, tens of millions of dice rolls, and then you get expectation, okay? In craps, okay? There is no winning crap roll, okay? It's all to the house. So, but they could tell you, you know, I'm going to roll snake eyes, you know, whatever, 1 out of 12 or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't play dice. But only in casinos where that data has been compiled, millions of sample points, do you get an idea of expectations. So that's why if they try to sell you a winning roulette or something, unless it's something amazing, and there have been some examples to where they have solved equations of orbiting balls around the wheel, right? In roulette, there's been people, we're talking some serious physicists and mathematicians, but it's based on the wheel. It's based on the position of where the ball's going, the speed. Yeah, if we had internal metrics of the roulette wheel, people with enough computation could solve that, and they have, and had an advantage, but not in the real world, not most of us. And the casinos won't let you sit around and take a speed gun and figure that out. Just go try that and see how long they let you do that. I mean, they kick you out. Even the suggestion that you're counting cards in blackjack. Okay? So, anyway, back to fantasy football. When I see the word expected, come on. Okay? Come on. Expectation in quotes, maybe. Okay? But just get real. Big websites. Just get real. With that said, this is the data. This is based on the limited points. This is what's there. It's up to all of us, me, you, whoever, to use this as a guide, right? If you're in a cave, it's nice to have a match. That's about kind of what it is. We don't have a switch and everything lights up. This provides us a match or two that we can see a little bit. That's the best we got. So always remember that. And game theory, you should not risk a boatload of money on something that the data points are small, right? Just don't fool yourself. You know, yes, if you're good, maybe you can push it, but you know, don't trick yourself. Okay? Don't do it. Anyway, this really sets it up, and I plotted this to get just a view of the feeling. So the green, of course, is the best wide receivers. They really peak round 1. Okay? There's the, I think, historically the edge with the, in quotes, data points, right? We kind of have a shelf here, look, to about 3rd, 4th round. Was it round 2, round 3, round 4 maybe? Then we drop again, and it really never recovers. A little bit of peak right here, but really not. And here's the mid-pack are starting to go. By the time the best drop out, the midpoint takes over. And what's interesting to me is the midpoint wide receivers, they're stretched further. So I think the idea that you can catch these type of wide receivers, the case seems much stronger deeper in the draft. The idea that I'm going to get one of these, right, unicorns up here, down here. Now, but you can get you a mid-tier, a 3 or a 4, deep late, okay? So there is value with the data points, right, in quotes. Failure rates really start picking up. So you realize that what you think is solid, it's got termites in it, okay? It's starting to happen after about the 72nd pick. I kind of show the green zone, the yellow, and the red. I think if you kind of do that. But even in the red, there are some mid-pack wide receivers still hanging around. So those are the ones that maybe take over from injury. They're rookies that finally figured out later in the season. There's, again, injuries. New, coaches are shuffled out, 10th, 11th, 12th weekend, and some new faces a new quarterback takes over, and they have synergy with these, 4th, 5th wide receivers, and they come on. So there's a lot of scenarios where these wide receivers are coming from, right? These are the studs. These are your dogs. These are the ones you want. These are the ones that can come on. And here's the sadness right here in red. So that's another way to look at the draft, is just kind of get a big sense of where you're going, right? All of a sudden the blacktop becomes a little bit of gravel. Then finally, so late, it's just dirt road, folks. There's no blacktop anymore. There's no gravel. It's starting to get muddy, okay? So you need to figure out, in a big sense, where things are in the draft and whether it's smooth sailing or it's starting to get risky, right? There's a lot more minds in the field over here than over there. You've got to be aware of that. You cannot just twiddle your thumbs and just, like a cork on the water, and just bobble around till something happens. That is not how I recommend approaching, and this is my process. This is how I set the table, folks. While you're eating with toothpicks and whatnot, I'm trying to have the gold-plated silverware here, trying to dine at the draft table. So think about that a little bit. 23 minutes here, that's enough of me running my mouth. So come back. I think I've got some more to talk about wide receivers. ADP versus end of the season. What you got? Data points are slim, but it is what it is. Come back next time.